Frontal. I'm Samantha B. Today, former senior Trump advisor Hope Hicks testified before Congress. Well, testified. She refused to appear before any cameras or answer any questions about her time in the White House, which would be fine if Congress were investigating her high school yearbook quote, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of dreams," and why she attributed it to Jimmy Buffett when it's actually probably Eleanor Roosevelt. Interestingly, she did attribute a different quote to Eleanor Roosevelt. "I blew out my flip-flop, stepped on a pop-top." Oh, it's easy to grow up white. Unfortunately, this is a probe into Trump's possible obstruction of justice, so for once in your shampoo commercial of a life, answer somebody's questions. Okay. Meanwhile, the Democrats are desperate to answer questions, prepping for the Democratic debates, which kick off in 1 week, and thank God, because all anyone can talk about is when are we finally going to get a 2020 debate. It is June, the weather's perfect, and everyone's debate bods are slamming. With 20 candidates set to take the stage, you think that the Democratic Party is just letting anyone in, but in reality, there are some candidates who didn't make the cutoff, such as Montana governor and man who will sell your house today, Steve Bullock. Bullock is currently polling around 0%, possibly because no one knows who the fuck he is. For example, I first learned of Steve Bullock by reading his name off this teleprompter 30 seconds ago. But even though he's a pointless presidential candidate, Bullock is pretty popular in his home state. In the same year that Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton by 20 points in Montana, Bullock actually won against his Republican opponent by 4 points, which brings me to make a delicate request. Run for Senate, goddammit! Look. Winning the presidency would be great, but real change is impossible unless the Senate changes hands too. I have literally no opinion on whether Bullock would be a good president or whether or not he even exists, but I know no one is more in touch with the issues that affect real Montanans.
Memorial Day's off at the start of the summer. We love getting out there, but it's also with its warm weather, bears are coming down more and more into places where people can come in contact. Buy that can of bear spray, read the instructions, learn how to do it, and I think even Mike can show us how it is.
Gotta take the little trigger off there.
Good job.
Thank you. Never pet a bear.
This man was born to serve the people of Montana specifically. Although, if it works on bears, maybe it'll also work on presidential candidates. No! Do not go on! Run for Senate! Even Montana voters aren't blown away by the idea of their governor running for president, or rather, they are, just not the way he wants.
Carol Carey said, "I'm sure they will be impressed with our 3 electoral votes." And Kenny Davis said about the announcement, "That's cute. Has anybody outside of Montana even heard of him before?"
When I tell you Steve Bullock and potential candidate for president of the United States, you tell me.
Holy shit, really? Yeah, wow.
Do you think he could take on Donald Trump?
No, I don't think so.
This is like when your parents tell you that your talent show performance was interesting. It means that close-up magic is not for you. Bullock is just one of many Democrats wasting his time in a presidential race who could be way more useful running for something else. You'd think people would be lining up to run for Senate, but it turns out Chuck Schumer is being served rejection after rejection from the party's biggest hopes. One former Senate aide suggested that good candidates don't want to run for Senate because it's so toxic and polarized, which I assume is a euphemism for, fuck, I don't want to work with Mitch McConnell. But that is exactly why we need good Democratic candidates for Senate. The beauty of elections is if you run and win, then you're the Mitch McConnell. That said, a nasty atmosphere isn't the only reason the Senate is unappealing. According to the New York Times, it's harder to convince Westerners to run for Senate because they'd have to take long round-trip flights to Washington, D.C. I really think this excuse is bullshit. I mean, yes, I know this week there was that one plane that was infested with thousands of biting ants. But it's fine. I've heard that Ted Cruz bought that one all for himself. The snack is built right in. Presidential candidate and former star of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, John Hickenlooper, says he's not cut out to run for senator in Colorado.
You don't get a team of people to address things in the Senate, right? You have a very small team, I guess. You do have a team. It's not the same as operating an enterprise. And there is something for those of us that become energized and really electrified by working with talented people and taking on things that people say are impossible and then getting them done. The Senate doesn't attract me at this point. It just doesn't attract me.
It doesn't attract you? Well, 99.7% of Democratic presidential voters aren't attracted to you. My God. How is he still so confident? Is this what it's like to be a man? I barely have the confidence to go buy cereal without putting on makeup first. John Hickenlooper, run for Senate. Colorado's Cory Gardner is one of the most vulnerable GOP senators this year. You have a good shot against him, and you literally have a 0.3% shot at being nominated for president. My feet are polling better than that on WikiFeet, and my dad was a hobbit. Flipping the Senate won't be easy, but it isn't impossible. Democrats will have to defend all 12 of their current seats and pick up 4 more. There are a few possibilities, including Maine, where total guy's girl Susan Collins is up for re-election. Collins' approval rating has dipped 15 points in the last 2 years, largely due to her votes for Brett Kavanaugh and other anti-abortion judges. Voters were so frustrated, in fact, that they raised millions for her challenger before a challenger even announced. Luckily, Maine House Speaker Sarah Gideon is expected to take on Collins. Hopefully, she'll kick Collins out of office, giving her more time to gaslight sexual assault victims face to face. Unfortunately, Democrats are often reluctant to run races they probably can't win, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't try. Just look at Iowa Senator and Kate Gosselin's hair burglar, Joni Ernst. Sure, Ernst is going to be hard to beat. She's a right-wing Iowan who carries a pistol in her purse and brags about castrating pigs as a child. But Iowa's been hit hard by Trump's tariffs. Maybe they'll go for a Democrat who cares about free trade and only has plans to castrate one big pig. Look, I totally get why you wouldn't want to be in the Senate. You have to do painful things like craft legislation that never goes anywhere and see Chuck Schumer in the gym. On a good day, his balls are inside his shorts. On a bad day, you see that they also have red glasses on. But the Senate is really important. We need Democrats who understand voters in places like Colorado and Montana. Otherwise, the next Supreme Court justice will probably just be a Bible taped to a mop handle. We'll be right back.